Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview. This time covering VALORANT Champions 2025 for finals weekend. My guest or one accompanying me at this moment is Milan, the head coach of FNATIC, finishing their lower bracket final matchup against DRX, beating them 3-1 to thus progress to the grand finals. Milan, you have a chance for the world. How does that sound to you?
It sounds awesome. Like it sounds. I think it sounds justified. If I'm being, and it's maybe arrogant speaking, but I think we really deserve to be in this grand final. I think everybody has worked incredibly hard over the last 2 months, and I think the fact that we're here is like the reward that I feel like that we've earned. So I'm confident, I'm content, and I'm excited.
A mixture of emotions and definitely a good sided mixture of emotions. That is definitely one to say. Obviously, you had to make a quick turnaround from that yesterday's match against NRG, having to suffer, especially on that second map on Abyss. What was the mindset for you as the coach, having to adjust, adapt, or maybe also in a way forget about yesterday? What was that process like for you?
The thing you said towards the end, there's like the most important thing, right? It's about resetting, going again in against a completely different opponent, less than 24 hours later. So, yeah, it was mostly about that and seeing how we can change our direction heading into this game. I think we did really well. We spoke with the boys. We had a lot of prep to do for this game as well, so that was a challenge, but in and of itself. But yeah, just looking, yeah, we're always looking to make adjustments on the fly. It's the nature of tournaments like this where you just have such a quick turnover time from occasionally, so it just means you have to work your ass off.
This series featured both teams playing maps that you guys don't really play as often as other maps in the map pool. For case in point, the first two maps. Was the approach also just essentially like, okay, we got no other option to avoid this. We just gotta make with what we have or what we're familiar with. Was that kind of like one aspect of the approach?
I think Corrode is like, we're fine playing Corrode, and even Sunset. Like I think we're fine playing every map right now. But ultimately, we just wanted to get Sunset out of the way, right? It's a best of five. You can get away with, doing some sillier things, and then we just tried it. Ultimately, I don't think it was a big failure. We took some learnings from it. We might play it again tomorrow, and the same thing applies for Corrode. So I think if you want to be a world champion, you have to just be able to take these things on the chin. And all of us are very aware that the moment you drop into this lower bracket, which is always an option, you lose and you have to play some maps at some point. We had it in Toronto. We'll have it tomorrow probably.
Of course, and obviously losing on Sunset, but you guys put you guys in the hole earlier on in the series, and you guys were able to bounce back to maps 2, 3, and 4. A gentleman's sweep, I would say. And what was the conversation, the mindset, the environment like for the team to just move on from map 1, map 2, and also continuing the momentum from map 2 onwards all the way to the very end?
Um, I think we just have a really good system in place for just being able to be honest with each other, especially in moments like this, because you don't have the luxury to walk around issues. So you just have to, in Dutch we say call it by its name. So if something's wrong, we'll tell you. If it's an individual thing, it's a team thing, doesn't really matter. And I think not that much was wrong on Sunset. We just made some good adjustments, and the boys were feeling it. I think a lot of it relied on energy. We've been here for a very long time. We've been, having some pretty early morning wake ups. Tomorrow another one. So it's a bit rough sometimes to get into these games. But yeah, we recovered, and I think all of it relies on the system that we have, where we can just start being honest, and from that point onwards, we just go and move forward.
You mentioned the energy, and obviously I'm looking at Boser, the many emotes that he put out for each given round. It seems like throughout that series. Favorite Boser emote?
I mean, he did so many. I think I like when he does the L dance, because it reminds me of prime Fortnite days. But no, I think it's. I think anything that Jake does that gives the boys energy is good, And I think he said it during the press conference as well. If he is doing all those things, he shows and he radiates so much energy and confidence that it just makes the boys feel so comfortable. And I think we become a immovable object, an unstoppable force.
Obviously, you are the person that was added into the team halfway through the season. I remember we had that conversation in the beginning about, I believe, stage 2, about just sort of your expectations for this team, and you mentioned you had this confidence about like we're going, if things fall into place and we're doing well, we're gonna win every game. And sure, you guys didn't win every game, literally speaking, but you guys made it to the grand final. So how do you look back on just sort of the start of this process for yourself with this team, and looking at the results and said fruition of results?
I mean, I can only really be proud of like everything, right? Of the team as an entirety, but particularly like the coaching staff team in and of itself. 3 rookies, me coming like moving from an assistant coaching position to a head coach, bringing in Ben Scott, who was only in VCT for like a couple of months at that point with BBL. Like Phil, CZ coming in and just doing an amazing job. So I'm just proud of everyone, man. And I think the process and the amount of like trust and structural changes that we've been able to like implement and the difference that it has made is wonderful. And I think but it's kind of the same with all of the boys who I think took everything like really to heart, who are super open to like some of the crazier ideas that we suggested, are super open to some of the structural changes that we made, and I think it's paid off, and I'm just very proud of everyone for that.
I mean, this Champions Grand Finals we will see a 2-time Champions winner. Ethan on the other side for NRG, one hit in EG, and then for FNATIC, it is you. Is that crazy to believe? That you would even be in this kind of position?
I don't really think about it, honestly. Like it's a night and day difference between this one and 2021. My friend who was interviewed after the first map today. I was actually watching that 2021 finals with him. So for me, it's more about like these full circle moments where, 4 years ago, I'm on a couch watching my team win, and now I'm on the biggest stage in the biggest arena that I've ever been in, playing for a second trophy. But I only really get reminded of it in moments like this. I don't care that much about personal achievements. I don't really care about like decorations. I just want to win, and I think we're doing a really good job at that right now.
Going back onto just sort of the process of the team, you mentioned about like the many aspects that the team was kind of building on. What is the most important aspect from your point of view that the team has been able to emphasize and use it to win?
I think our brotherhood is really good, and there's like many sub elements that play part in that. The way we speak with each other, the way we engage with each other, like in and outside of the game, in and outside of practice. And I think that's like the biggest change. And then obviously, like I think we do some stuff that probably not many teams have done over the last couple of years, honestly, that I think that also gives us some advantages when it comes to like practice structure, the way in which we set ourselves up, and I think that's making all the difference.
Obviously, like you had to face off, not going back to the series, a very momentum or very a DRX on fire type of team, going through all of the rounds in the lower bracket up until the very finals, taking down the first seeds of each region except for China, of course. And obviously, given that you guys already faced them earlier on in the playoffs, must have been a brand new ball game altogether. Was there any difference between how you saw the DRX from the first encounter of this tournament and today, and also what stood out to you in just having to take down DRX?
I think they had confidence, right? But I think they're just a good team. It's one of those things where if you've played against we call it the mosquito comp, so the Waylay plus a duelist comp. Once you've done it a couple of times, you'll get a lot more comfortable with it. And I do think we dealt with it well the first time, and I think today we just dealt with it a little bit better. There's still some things that we have to, look back at that I know we can do better before tomorrow. But overall, looking at them, I just think that they're such a. I think Valorant is such a momentum-heavy game, both within a game itself, but also from game to game. Like confidence makes such a big difference in FPS, and I think that's what they had. But ultimately, we had a lot still as well. So I think it was just a good game.
And with that said, now you guys, last opponent, NRG, thoughts on just sort of their what they bring to the server? Any regrets from the previous upper bracket finals that you feel like you guys have it taken care of?
I mean, you learn a lot from losing, so I'm excited to play them again. I think they're a very good team, and they'll have like the veto advantage and whatnot. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a really good game. And we said it in the press conference. Doesn't really matter who wins or loses tomorrow. Obviously, we all want to win, but at the end of the day, we're hoping to put on a good show and just have some fun.
A few more questions before I wrap up really quick. Matt Vito, does it concern you of any Kane because of
Nah, it's the boring answer, but I think it's like, I mean, what are they gonna? I don't know. They'll probably, like, if they pick Sunset or if they leave it out. I don't, because ultimately neither of us like particularly leaned into the map. I think after today they might leave it in that case. Sure, we'll be ready. I also think that, I mean, I have some ideas for what they're gonna do, but we'll be fine. We'll figure it out.
We'll definitely be seeing what's going to happen in the server tomorrow. Milan, congrats on moving on to the finals. Really appreciate the interview and best of luck tomorrow.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much, man.